I hope everyone had a great weekend. It's Rachel here. I thought I might start my little tutorial. It's not really a tutorial. It's really just like showing you how I did it for this great little folder thingy that's not even finished. You'd think I'd finish it before I sort of showed you how to do it, but really more than anything, I think you know how to sew pages in. It's more just how I my process to create it. So if we have time, I'll decorate it, but if not, I won't bother. In this video, we'll do another video. So I use this Amazon package here, and I'll tell you how big this one is. You obviously would, if you had a bigger one or a smaller one, you could adapt it. So this is like just over 6.5 inches and centimeters. I'm measuring it from here. Actually, it's probably better from there. 18 centimeters and 7 inches to the fold there. That's probably better. And then the height is 9.25 inches and 23.5 centimeters. So that's what I used, but you could have something bigger or smaller. Now, as I mentioned, the idea of how to cover these came from Rachel Tomlinson, and I think in my previous video I did link her video, but if I remember, I'll do it here. Now, what I did was I opened out these flaps, so I'll try and do that without making too much of a mess. And I just trimmed them off, and I pulled off all any bits, you know, labels, any bits and pieces off the cover that might annoy me. You know, things do annoy me at times. And so then I'm going to just trim off in a very casual fashion these little flappy things, because we don't need, well, I don't think I need them, but you might feel like you need to keep them. Maybe they would be good to keep and they could stop things from falling out. But anyway, I've chopped it off, so mine are going off. Not the top one could be worth keeping. I don't know. You'd have to have a think about that. That's a bit crooked. Okay, and then I didn't want this piece here, this bit there, so I just trimmed it off where the crease is there, because that's a bit of a funny shape. You don't really want to sew around that one. Okay, I mean, it's super easy peasy Japanesey. So I'll just trim off that little crooked bit as well. Okay, that's looking all right to me. And then I got just my straw paper. I got a big sheet. Now, normally when I sell it, it's their half size, like they're a little bit bigger than A4. This is bigger. By the way, if you order them at all, just if you want them in the full sheets, it'll be, instead of 20 sheets, 10. But they're the double size, but I would have to fold them. That's why I tore them down, because I actually find them easier to use when they're the A4 size, especially when I'm resizing them for, you know, journals and that sort of thing. But for this kind of project, it's nice to have the big sheet, and I'm going to use 2. So I'll probably, now I'm going to glue this on. This is what Rachel Tomlinson did. She used craft paper. No, she actually used a paper bag. Now, but I want to leave a little border here. I don't want to, I need that to stitch around. So I'll show you what I mean. So I need to get my PVA glue, and I might, just a minute, if I can find it. I'll just come over here. I've abandoned you. I've got my little glue drawer here. Now what I bought those stupid spongy things by accident, spongy double-sided tape. I didn't put my glasses on when I was making my purchase, and I got spongy double-sided tape, and I don't use it. Wouldn't know what to do with it. So I did have, many moons ago, a card here that I was using, because a very clever person suggested that to me, to spread my glue, and wouldn't you know, it's disappeared. So I don't have it anymore. Oh well, I can't do it. I have to use my finger. Can't find the card. Okay, well, there you go. Forget that. Sorry guys, that was a waste, wasn't it? Okay, well, we're wasting time. Let's get gluing. I'll use my finger, and I've got my wet one ready to clean it. So I'm going to put my glue on, directly onto, this is not the glue I want to use. This is a new glue. I must have pulled it out of the thing without even thinking. Okay, here we go. Let's try again. Right. So I'm going to put some glue everywhere, all around the edges. Now it's quite big. I don't have my camera, my iPad up on a chair today because, you know, I could send it flying. I don't like doing that. I feel very insecure when I put it up on a chair. So it's a little bit close, I know, because this is quite a big project. I don't know how much we'll get done in the one video because I could be interrupted. My daughter could come home and then I'll have to stop. Won't that be annoying? So let's see. I don't think this is enough, actually. We need to get a good... Excuse me. The reason why I'm putting so much glue, I want to cover pretty much all of the cardboard because I don't want any little air bubbles in there. I'd like it all to stick down fairly well. I probably could have used just glue stick. Actually, I might try the glue stick on the... Oh, no, that's the side that it folds, so I won't. Now, let's just... It's going to... Just bear with me. It's going to take me a minute to smush this around. It's fun to watch, isn't it? Glue smushing. Okay, I'm in a bit of a goosey mood. I had to go to middle school today. I started my English workshops. Talk about Australia. I mean, how hard could that be? And the kids, I don't know how much they understand, seriously, because I'm only meant to speak English. And I'm doing second year middle school, so they understand even less. And then Lulu's age. And I just don't think, I do wonder how much they understand. I think the ones that are Lulu's age, they're good at relaxing and just picking up the few words that they understand, and then they're able to figure out the concept. And I do write like words and phrases on the blackboard and use images, so that helps them. But they seem to enjoy it. Sometimes you get really bad classes that you just come out with a raging headache, and then I can't do anything. Even if I only do 2 hours, I can't do anything after those classes because it's just exhausting. Now I think I might keep my board, line this up already with my border. And I'm just going to glue it down like that. Pull that off. So that's my border. It's about 1/2 centimetre, maybe 1/4 of an inch. And I'm just going to flip it over and make sure it's all smooth. And then I'm going to get my trusty metal ruler. And I'm just going to this is not a perfect project by any means. I have to stand up. I'm just going to kind of wing it and eyeball it and tear it. There, maybe. Hope I don't tear too much. Maybe I'll do it that way. That way I can see what I'm doing. I don't know how I'll go. I'll start the tear, and then I'll put that up there. And there we go. It's pretty warm here at the moment. It's just bizarre. We're supposed to be having this crazy cold, they keep saying, oh, we're going to have a big cold snap. Well, it hasn't come. It has not happened. So, it's happened in other areas, like south, where you'd think it'd be warmer down south. Opposite to Australia, it's warmer up north. Oh, I ripped that. Oh, well. So I'm going to tear down this one as well. So, I'm sorry if you got my big arm there, but it's quite a big thing. It's quite hard to get it all on screen. It looks all right. If you wanted to make your life easier, you could just cut it. Oh, I know what I did. I used my quilting ruler last time, so that way I could, because it's transparent, so I could see it. And we don't throw these pieces out. They're good for collaging. Okay, so that's done. And now I need to do this side. So I do think, actually I'm just going to fold it. I'm jumping all over the place. I think with my other one I used not PVA glue, I used glue stick. So I think I will use the glue stick. I remember using glue stick. And I'm just going to get my creases going a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to grab my glue stick, I think, because it's a bit of an easier process. And a little bit faster. Okay. Because If I weren't stitching it, I would not. So if you're not going to stitch it because you don't have a sewing machine or you don't like sewing or whatever, then I would use PVA glue because that's more, I think it's stronger. I feel more secure using that. But as I'm going to stitch this, I don't think it really matters. Just get my glue pretty much as I can all over it. So obviously if you don't have the straw paper, I just like using the straw paper, you can use craft paper, big brown paper bags would be really good. This is just your base. I do recommend going and watching Rachel's, it was her, I think she calls it a lap book or something. I don't really know what a lap book is. In fact, I was meaning to ask her. I might have to write a comment and ask her. Yeah, I don't really know what that is, but anyway. Oh, wait just a minute. Forgot to cut these. I'll just cut these with scissors, these little corners here. There, because otherwise I'll lose those. And there, okay. And now we'll glue it on here, and then we know where to tear it. So we'll just line it up. I'm sure there's an easier way of doing this, but I don't like measuring. So this is good for me because I'm not measuring anything. Pretty quick. We like quick projects. Quick projects are the best projects. Flatten it out. Make sure it's all glued. And it's going to be interesting getting my sewing machine over because I've got my usual bit of mess. And I might get my bigger ruler because that makes life easier. Although it doesn't tear. Where's it gone? I had it before and now I've lost it. Oh, here we go. It's in its usual spot. So I might tear with this. See, this is what I mean. It's transparent. I'll just move that one out of the way. It's hindering my progress. Okay, so let's just, and you're going to get my big arm here. Tear that. And then I'll tear this one. And I'm sorry if I'm off screen, but I don't think it'll fit. Just line it up. Just a seckie. Line it up as I said and tear it. Okay, great. See how easy that is? That is really easy, and it's glued down pretty well. Just put the ruler over there. Okay, and then I just need to trim over here. And I think before I get my folds going again, I'm going to bring my sewing machine over. That's going to be interesting because there's a whole lot of stuff here. I'll bring my sewing machine over and we'll stitch it. Didn't need my wet one. We'll stitch it and move the telephone. We don't need the telephone. Telephone is switched off. I'm not interested in that. Put this. Got all kinds of things everywhere as usual. So bring my sewing machine over. Okay, here we are. Oh, I've got that thread. I have to put my other thread in. I was making, had to make some scrappy trim this morning. So that's done when I came back from school. So I'll just put my regular cream, sort of off-white sort of thread that I like to use. And just take me a second to, oh, come on. See, my husband called me before I started doing this and totally threw me off. I was just about to start my video. Okay. Just a second. Okay. Well, that was quick. It's pretty light, that's why I can see. Okay, so basically, you saw that I had some overhanging here. So this is all soft. It's not very... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch just next to the cardboard. I'm not actually going to stitch through the cardboard, although I think the sewing machine would have no trouble going through this cardboard because it's not that thick. And I'm not even going to bother back stitching because when I come back I'll just cross over. So you can, I don't know if you can see, there's the cardboard and I'm just going next to it. And the sewing machine seems to be very happy, so. It would help if you don't have things around you when you're sewing a big thing like this, because you crash into it and makes you go wobbly. Okay. Oh, I wobbled it, sorry. Oh, I got a bit of glue on my thing. That never happened before. Just clean that off. Right. I think that's just fine. Okay, so let's just cut that out. We don't really need the sewing machine anymore, I don't think, for the moment. Now, I did mention that my preferred method turned out to be just gluing down my tracing paper to make my little tuck spots. That's what I ended up preferring. So now let's just, which way was it folding? It was folding this way, wasn't it? So that's going to, so you need to go like this and just get your creases going. And now what I did with this piece here was I kind of bent it a little bit here so that it would curve a little bit, because as this fills, it needs to curve. So I've made it like a curve. I didn't fold it exactly on the crease there. It's curving around. So that is literally the cover. Oh, I did stitch down the middle of my other one, just so that when it was, it's not necessary, but I felt like I should do it. So I might do it here as well. Always a good idea to turn the machine on. And I know I just went through wet glue, but no, my needle's just fine. Nothing happened. Probably because it's not, I didn't put it on that thick. I smudged it around. Okay, let's get that away. And now all we have to do pretty much is choose our papers. Did I stitch down there in the other one? I might have. I did. I stitched down there as well. Well, let's do that too. We might as well do it the same as the other one. Just where it's folding, just so the paper stays down better. Now with these, I am stitching through the cardboard. The cardboard is not thick. And also I'm just using, because lots of people have asked me, I'm just using a regular, I think it's 90 needle. Let me see if I've got my little pack. Oh, it doesn't have anything on it. The lid's come off. Anyway, it's just a 90. It's the one that you use for cotton, regular sewing, just a regular sewing needle. Okay, so now we need to measure to make our little signatures. Now I don't want them to be too, I think I did, yeah, 34 centimeters by 23 and a half. Can I remember that? Do you think I can remember that? Or do I need? I usually have to write it down because I end up measuring them like 50 million times. I'm making a bit of a mess. I'll write it down on a piece of this. What did I say? 34. So I don't need that anymore. Get that out of the way. The pencil's all the way over there. Right. So 34 centimeters by 23.5. That's my page. And what I decided to do was I did use, as I mentioned, cardstock, because I wanted it to be, and I'll go back to this lovely one here. I wanted it to be strong. I'm going to use this one. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Might use that one. We'll do 3 pages for this one, just for now. So what I did was, it's super easy. I'll just get my cutter. So I cut the bottom off. So I cut my 23 and a half. need to move my sewing machine a bit further away because it's in the way. Oh my, I'm feeling so crowded. It gets so crowded when I'm creating. It's just, oh. Okay, I know I'm very close here. I'll just bring it up a little bit more like that. Okay, so what I did was I have to take off the bendy bit at the top. I don't want that. So we will need the sewing machine again. So what I did was I cut my 23.5 centimeters. I just line it up, more or less. Everything's more or less. That's the only thing I measure. Now, because you know these are 30 centimeters or 12 inches by 12 inches, what I did was I'm going to reverse this and stitch it there. And then, so we'll do that. So I'm just going to keep my strips. I'm just going to cut this one down to 23.5. Put those there. So that's one, and I'll keep that little piece for something. And then this one, how many minutes are we? Oh, we're only 21 minutes. Heaps of time. Okay, so I'll trim that one off. 23.5. Trim that off. And one more. Like, I mean, you can put way more pages in than what I'm doing. Like maybe 5 or 6 would be good. Trim this one off. Just put those over there now. 23.5 is my measurement. And then I need to trim this one off. Okay, so now we'll bring over the sewing machine again. Right, okay, so now I'm going to do kind of like a, it's kind of a bit like, sorry, my ruler's in the way. Okay, it's kind of like a Franken paper, but it's only one strip. So I just flip it over, like so. Flip it over. I'm lining them up. I'm just overlapping them a little bit. I'm lining them up with my little line on my sewing machine that goes across there. And I'm also going to put zigzag. And ideally, if I can, helps to turn on the sewing machine. I do that every time. Just do a little back stitch because I don't want to put a hole in it. Okay, and then I'm not even going to take that off. I'm going over to my next one. Now that's a sewer's trick. I don't like that. I'll put this one, I think. And then put this here. I'll just pull my needle up and move that one out of the way a little bit. And then line it up so it feels like it's kind of straight. It's not the end of the world if it isn't. It's only for me. That's that one. And then this one. I might like it more like that. Like so. And actually I'll just move that one out of the way. Lining it up, I hope. And where are my scissors? I just going to trim these ones off because they're sort of stopping my thing from feeding through. Put those over there. Okay, so that is done. Put that way over there so we've got space. Now all I do now is I fold it over, and it's going to be slightly too big. I just try and line it up. Make your nice crease down there. Okay, fold this one over. And fold this one over. Okay, and then I'll just grab my cutter again. I thought I was done with that, but I'm not. Move those out of the way. Okay. And I want to, so half of 34 is 17. So I want them to be, like my first one can be 17 centimeters. Don't know what that is in inches. And I just trim it off. And then this one I'm going to do slightly less, just because, you know, as you know, when you put pages in inside each other, they kind of stick out a little bit. So those ones can be slightly less. And then those are my pages. Easy, really fast. And I don't think I want to keep those strips. I've got too much stuff. I'm being ruthless. Right. So then I put those inside there. Put those inside there. And now I'm ready to do these pages here. Okay, so I've got some, actually this is, I don't know what you call this in English. It's called spolvero in Italian. It's architecture tracing paper. It's not, well, I don't know if Steffi does tracing with it. He does sketches on it and stuff as well. Like he'll have the floor pan and then he'll sketch over it and move walls and that sort of stuff. Anyway, I ran out of tracing paper, so I grabbed his very expensive roll of architecture paper. So what I did was, I'm assuming it will work the same. Basically, I've torn them down just by eye to the width of my signature, of my page. So I've torn a few because this was on a big roll. I didn't want to be messing about with that on camera. So basically with my A4 tracing paper, I was able to tear it slightly less than half, and then the other one I had to tear a little bit of strip off the other side. So, and then I just randomly, very randomly, tear strips. I think, you know, depends on how big your bits of fussy cut things are, or ephemera and stuff, but I kind of I made some shorter, some pockets were little pockets, because if you've got smaller things it's easier to pull them out, and then some are deeper, because if you've got something bigger you might like a bit of a deeper one. And more or less I put, depends how narrow they were, I put about 3 occasionally. For the stamps I think I put 4. We'll have a look at that in a sec. See, I could probably put another one, but I won't. I'll leave more space between them so I can put bigger things. And this I'll just do half. And I didn't measure anything. So, I mean, you can divide your page and measure and do all that sort of stuff if that's what you like doing. I don't like doing that sort of stuff, so I just like to do it by eye and make it up, sort of things. And it's really easy. We'll do a couple of pages and that's it, because otherwise, seriously, it's like even Lulu would be able to do it. Lulu would probably do it better than me. So just saying that, like, I'm just saying that because it's something that's so simple that anyone can do it. The other option is you can stitch it, but if you want to have pockets on either side, then, you know, I stitched one pocket and then I had to go and stitch the other pocket, and so I had stitching lines everywhere, and I just felt like it's not necessary. So obviously, so what I did with this to get this to stick down fairly well was I just ran my thumb over it. It's always good to have a wet one nearby, obviously. So just make sure you smush the glue around, and then eventually it sticks. Just get the glue off my fingers. I probably put a little bit too much glue there. So there, that part of the pocket will be a little bit less deeper than the other part. So yeah, just around the 3 sides. Put your glue. I'll put a little bit less on this one, see how I go, because I'm not concentrating, I'm talking. It's always a good idea to concentrate. So I'll put this one about here. I'm not going to put it halfway up in my mind because I want to put this one slightly further down, because if I put it up there, then my things are going to be poking out the top. So you need to put it further down, if you know what I mean. Oops. So yes, the tracing paper does stick down very well. You just have to flatten it out with the glue, with your thumb. Or if you have one of those cards, that I did have one, but can't find it, can I? That would have been good. A useful thing to have. Right. Okay, so we'll do this one. Do we need to see any more of this? I mean, you just continue. Just do it through on every single page. And you've got your little ephemera book. And just keep going over it until it sticks. So I'm going to put this one down about here because I want things to go in there and not stick out. Got glue on my fingers. Okay. I was a bit naughty on the weekend. On Saturday I did a whole lot of making of little bits and pieces because I've got to start. I've been making a few bits and pieces. I have to do Kelly's journal, and but she's travelling, so I don't have to have it done till the end of the month. But I thought I'd just slowly start making my bits and pieces to go in it, and then I'll start making the actual book. Even though I've gutted it, I kind of have gathered some things to put in it. So yeah, you've just got to keep going over it until it sticks. This is slightly, this architecture paper it's reacting very slightly differently to the tracing paper. Tracing paper went down a little bit better, but it is sticking. Yes, I was saying I actually made a few things and I didn't put my camera on. Okay, so, and then I would just proceed and do my pockets again, my tuck spots on all pages. Now let's have a look in my original one. I won't do any more. You don't need to see me do that. We can go to the original one now. So that's really seriously it, guys. There's nothing to it. I do have to decorate it. I have no idea how I want to decorate it. You see? That's that, and then that will close. I'm going to stitch, I think, a piece of linen trim or something there, and it will just wrap around and close it. But I'm not quite sure how I want to do this one. I literally have to take everything out of the pockets. So I was thinking here I'm going to put like just one big transparent pocket and put longer things. So I was just going to put a pocket there like that. And put longer things in there, and also at the back. But you could also stitch in like an envelope that flips out. But I wanted you know, just something transparent here that you can see what's in there. And I've got to say I've been using it, and it's really, really. I haven't even finished this one. There's a few bigger pockets, so you can do some bigger pockets on there as well for bigger things. So I will do that in this new one as well. You can see, look, I've been using all of my stamps and they haven't been falling out at all like I thought they might. So with the stamps, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did 5 rows. And if you've got stamps, I can tell you the height of how I tore them. About 2.5 centimeters. That one's 3 centimeters. So no more than 3 centimeters I tore them. 2.5 because I was thinking of these small stamps. And I did 5. So, and I thought I was going to show you in inches. About 1 inch. 1 inch. And 1 inch and a bit. So not more than that for the stamps. Now, and then here I haven't done anything, and here I did 3 again. See, these are deeper because there were, oh, and what I did, with the tracing paper, I had little square bits, little bits left over. I stitched them together so I didn't waste them, and so that I made pockets. I made the longer pocket stitching them together, which works just fine, you can see there. And that's about it, really. Oh, and these are all these washi things that I made, you know, cutting up my embroideries and papers and things like that. I've been using those. So I like those. So I think I would like to create a pocket, 2 big pockets where that sort of thing could slide in. And there's one of Gail's beautiful ones. Oh, I've got Gail's other one in my cart. I still haven't gone to buy it. I have to do that. And then this needs to be decorated. So, but I don't know. I have to think about it. I don't think I'll do that on video now. I'll just call this part 1. Then we'll decorate it, and then we'll stitch in the pages. But you know how to do all of that. You don't need me to do that. But anyway, we will. We'll do it properly. So this is part 1, was just constructing the cover and putting in our signature pages. And so you can go ahead and do all your gluing, and then tomorrow I will think about it and video the decorating. That's what I'll do. So thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful and you can get started, and then we can finish it off tomorrow. Bye.